Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see you and to hold on for us being here on a Thursday morning. So we're going to talk a little bit about drones, so I hope you're interested. So we start to introduce myself. My name is Barbara Parello. I'm the Executive Director for the Advanced Air Mobility in GSMA. So we're going to have a very interesting session with excellent speakers. So let's kickstart, but let me give you a little bit of overview what the GSMA is doing in this area. So why we are working in aviation, particularly in drones. So now is the time where there is a transformations in the aviation. Let's say that they have, is the moment which the new entrant, the drones, that disrupting a little bit the traditional aviation. So currently, we see that most of the drones for commercial use and also consumer, but we focus on the commercial, are flying at lower altitude. Normally, they stay below 400 feet, which is 120 meters, 150 meters, more or less. But as you all know, maybe, even if you're not from the aviations, most of the connectivity for the planes are through radar. Radar is pointing up because they want to cover the planes, so the planes are flying quite high. Which means, as you can see from the schematic, if you are your antenna and the radar pointing up, you have no connectivity through radars on the lower altitude. So we have here the opportunity to use a network, the mobile network, because we have a pretty good coverage, I would say, on the ground and the lower altitude. Hence, that's why we are here. We try to help to provide connectivity where there is none at the moment for drones, for commercial drones. Most important is also the scalability aspects for reaching scalability, for enabling flight beyond visual line of sight, autonomous flight in the future. We need to have a price point which is acceptable. We want to reach a scalability. Hence, we have an expertise in reaching scalabilities. There's a lot of mobile phones where we all use. So that's what we know best. So here, there's the last point, which is very important. In order to deal with autonomous drones, the transformation, the most important, you need to go to digitalize the traffic management system that they use nowadays for what they call it, the manned or crewed aviation. Therefore, is the moment now to inject digitalization in the aviation, and that's where the drones are the good place to start. So that's why we work in this space in GSMA. How we do it? We have a group. It's a group that, two groups actually. One is called Drone Interest Group, so any members of GSMA can join. Here's where we share the knowledge, who is further ahead, also to understand the different situation across the globe, because it's very different. So we try to harmonize and make a solution which is indeed easy to scale. And then we work together to provide the right information and also the right step for the mobile operator to provide the right services. The other one is a very important cooperation that we have with the Aviation Association, which is the Global UTM Association. With them, we have a conversation because they are the expert in aviation and we are not, to be frank. So we are the good knowledge of the network. Together, we try to understand what is needed to provide, to give the trust to use the mobile network, because as you know, aviation is based on safety. So that's why we work together. We have quite a few people here that they are on this group. So, and it's a lot of work, but we have to work together to achieve a good service level. And what we did so far, I'm not going to go through to all of that, but there's a lot of documentation, there's a lot of work which has already happened, and we continue to do work. And from the GSMA, we provide guidance, but we also provide information on how it's done elsewhere, and we are continuing to try to bring guidelines for the mobile operator and the mobile ecosystem, how we help to achieve a scalable, safe drone operations that is also profitable. So with this one, I want to stop and I'll give you the agenda. So we're going to go through a couple of presentations first, and then we go to a panel. So, but I think that without any further ado, I thank you for listening to me. So I want to start with the first presentation. The first presentation is from Francesca Stockton from Verizon, and she has a lot of expertise. So Francesca, please come to the stage, and we are very happy to listen to you. Please give an applause to Francesca.
Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. My name is Francesca Stockton. I'm with Verizon. I'm a product manager for our aviation network services. And what I do is look at the way that we use our network for things that fly. And so as Barbara has shared a bit, cellular networks are absolutely ideal for drones. She showed you a little bit about the area that drones operate and the area that traditional methods for reaching planes is not available today. But it turns out that cellular networks are really great for it, both in the RF environment and for the scalability, because we're interoperable. We have a wide ecosystem of accessible hardware that is low cost, and we have the scale, or we have the ability and the infrastructure to scale. And that is all the things that this emerging market needs, because it's a cross between consumer and smaller electronics and aviation. So what do we know about drones? And I'm always extremely excited to do my work for Verizon because we not only operate one of the largest, most reliable networks in the US, but we also operate one of the largest, most reliable drone programs in the US. And as of the end of the year, we had 255 pilots, and we may even have more at this point, operating across 10 business units and growing. And through thousands and thousands of missions that they provide every year and growing, we had no incidences with the FAA, and this is in our last year. Our robotics group currently has over 140 employees and growing, and these are employees that are specifically devoted to developing software, services, and solutions for aerial and ground robotics. My team, during the pandemic, we've performed over 300 flights just looking at how do we optimize services for things in the air. None of our other flights, just 300, simply to say, how do we serve drones better across all of the situations and use cases on our network, including advanced air mobility and up to about 7,000 or 8,000 feet. And then, our last but definitely not least, in September we started a program with the Federal Aviation Administration where we are looking at a joint partnership to see how the cellular network can serve command and control of drones, or C2. And we are surpassed 300 cumulative flight hours and growing, and we'll be doing that for the next 3 years. So, not to talk about Verizon's drone program anymore, let's talk about why we operate drones. And drones are used to get a job done, and there's 3 primary jobs that we see people want to get done today. They want to deliver information, they want to deliver goods, and they want to deliver people. And as we can imagine, we go from a lower complexity to a higher complexity, but they all come together at safety. Because as Barbara shared, the most important thing in integrating drones into this new airspace is doing it safely. So I'm going to tell you a little bit story about doing a job, getting a job done with the cellular connected drone. So I already told you why cellular is an ideal technology for this space. And the first thing is that if a drone operator wants to get a job done that they know that they need cellular to do, they need to be able to go buy a drone. And this has actually been quite a challenge because it's an emerging market, and adopting new technologies takes some time. But we're making some really good headway here. Verizon and Skyward has recently launched our Parrot on a FEAI, which is the first commercial off-the-shelf Verizon-enabled 4G drone. And Qualcomm RB5 Robotics is doing drone reference design, which is the first 5G-enabled drone used for reference and can also be used for ground robotics. So great space here. But ultimately, that operator just needs to know, I can go buy a drone. And so we still have a lot of work to do here in getting the ecosystem available so people can go buy drones. And once they have that drone operationalized and it's in their fleet, they want to go get a job done. And they shouldn't have to be a cellular expert and understand how does the network work, or where are towers and where is performance. What they need to know is, can I perform the mission I want to perform in the time I want to perform it, in the way I want to perform it, at the area that I want to perform it. And ideally, they just want a yes or a no. Because again, they don't want to be experts on how our system works or how communication systems works. Now, once they're executing that mission, Their #1 priority is safety. And they want to get that job done efficiently because they don't want to have to go do it again. So all they need to know at this time is not a slew of network statistics or bars to see how much coverage they have. What they need to know is, has anything changed when you told me yes or no in my conditions that would compromise the safety or the performance of my operation? And they need to be operationally made aware of that in a way that is safe in their concept of operation. And then when they're all done, they need to look at some data, and that data may be used for a variety of different reasons. It might be used to support an operational approval that they have from their regulators. It might be used to support the efficiency or the program that they're running inside of their company. Or in the event that there was a incident, they might have to use that for reconstruction. So it's a pretty simple story, right? Well, I like to say it's simple like physics. If any of you have done physics, you know how simple physics is not. But the story that I just walked you through assumes that there's one drone operator operating another drone, or sorry, one drone operator operating one drone. But we know that in order to scale, that one drone operator has to operate many drones. And to do that, there are some other things that we need in the regulatory space, but what we need absolutely the most is we need automation. And that really changes the way that this workflow progresses. So I'd like to talk to you about the players in this, in automating this, and what they do in their roles. So the first place I'd like to bring your attention to is this connection over here on the right. And this is the drone to operator interface. And what we're seeing today, the biggest demand is, I need to connect my drone to my operator over cellular. And that's pretty simple. That's connectivity. At least we think it's simple, because that's what we already do. But we, as mobile network operators, know things that work in the air, that fly on our network, work very, very differently than things on the ground. And we have to be cognizant of this and understand this, because we want to protect our resources, we want to protect the integrity of our network, and we want to be able to deliver services that are actually scalable and meaningful to our market. And we can end the story here, and we could say that this is a mobile network operator's role, is to provide connectivity. But we would risk saying that mobile network operator services could be commoditized inside of the system. And I just don't think that's true. Or it doesn't have to be true. Because what we're talking about here is providing services that are above and beyond just the connectivity. And that's where the center entity comes in. And if you're familiar with digital airspace management concepts like UTM, you're familiar with what's called the USS, which is a third-party service supplier. And this role is all about contextual awareness, because what we're talking about is this role providing functionally valuable services above and beyond the connectivity for the purpose of the operation, to support that safe operation. And in order to do that, this entity has to have contextual awareness of the pilot, they have to have contextual awareness of the aircraft, they have to have contextual awareness of the mission, and then they have to have contextual awareness of the operation and the approvals that are wrapped around that mission. So that's a lot of information that is above and beyond just what a network connectivity provider today has in interfacing with their drone and operator. And we know that in the aviation space, this is a very familiar concept, and that's all done through operational SLAs. But they also have to have contextual awareness of the network, both the predicted performance of the network as well as the current real-time status of the network. And the level of which they have to have that will vary on the degree of complexity of the mission itself. We talked about as simple as delivering information in a rural area and as high risk as delivering people over a city. And we believe that this requires some lower level SLA between the network provider and this entity. And we can see some of this is already done. There's precedence for this today in the way that we work with public safety and other types of services. And then in the future, we could look at concepts like network slicing to meet these needs. And then the third piece is this connection between the mobile network operator, connectivity provider, and our UTM traffic management system, or UAS traffic management system. And in this way, mobile network operators have services and information and capability which can support a UAS traffic management system for the purpose of strategic, which is pre-flight, and tactical, which is in-flight, air and ground risk mitigation. So I'm proud to say at Verizon, we touch in all of these spaces, and we're working across this entire ecosystem from a product and services perspective. But I don't necessarily think that every mobile network operator will make that choice or has to make that decision to start or maintain a business in each one of these. It may be partnership. There's a lot of room for creativity. And I don't want to assume that a mobile network operator will always have a role in the operational capability between the drone and the ground control station. But we shouldn't assume that they won't either. The one thing I will say that we have to think about is people are going to want to connect drones to networks. And because we, as mobile network operators, have the responsibility to protect the integrity, the performance, and the efficiency of our network while delivering good services, we have to start thinking about this today. And we have to be looking at it because it's not a matter of if, but when people are going to put drones on your network. So what do we have to do? Well, I firmly think that we have to leave room for innovation. I just told you all the different ways that it could be done. I gave you an example of how Verizon is looking at it. We really care about drones, and we have a very strong team who is looking at drones and ground robotics. And everything that I just shared with you here is strikingly similar for ground robotics too. So a lot of these operational needs, they hold across ground robotics, across smart cities, across automotive and smart driving. So these are a lot of very common concepts. So a mobile network operator may have one role, they may have many roles. That's really their business decision. But I encourage you, if you haven't made a business decision about what your role is, or if you're partnering, or if you're doing something here, I encourage you to start thinking about it. It's not going to look the same in every country. Every jurisdiction is going to look different based on the way that businesses operate, the way that the regulatory bodies allow these things to come to play. And that's okay, but what it has to do, it has to work for all of our customers, regardless of what country they're in. Because they want to create one drone to work in 6 countries, not 6 drones, and not one drone with 6 different iterations. Which is why I think we need to think globally, and we need to think globally now. And we already do a really good job at this because we get interoperability and we get mobility. We are specialists in this. We have a wonderful ecosystem, and that's the beauty of cellular, and that's the beauty of why this is such a great space for this. But we need to hit harder on this for our OEMs. Because this is such an early market, and they absolutely need our support, so we need to start thinking about this early. And that comes back to what Barbara was sharing, is we have to be involved with our standards early, and we need to be thinking about how are we all treating this ecosystem from a perspective of fueling it from a global perspective. And we need to work with our regulators. I encourage you strongly to work with your regulators. I shared with you that we have a partnership with the FAA, 3-year partnership, where we're looking at how we use cellular networks to serve the command and control of drones. But here's the things. As mobile network operators, we have great resources and great skills. Let's share that with our regulators. They don't have that. So I think we need to push-pull with them. And we need to get them familiar with our technology, teach them about it, and hold them accountable, bring them to the table to make the policies that the industry needs. And this requires you, mobile network operators, increasing your own internal competency on how your networks serve drones. And the last thing is we don't have to wait. So I get this comment a lot, like, oh, when 5G is this, or when our regulators do this. And I am here to tell you, as someone who's doing it today, 4G does a lot for drones. And we are so lucky to have this beautiful, mature 4G ecosystem. And we could do so much on that with drones today and build the foundation for how to adapt 5G to that. Yes, we have to wait for a lot of regulatory advances in various parts of the world, but there's value to be had today. And I would argue we should start exploring that today, because that's how we're going to continue to build it, and that's how we're going to bring our regulations back in. And the last thing I'll say, we are so incredibly lucky. This is an emerging industry. We have a mature 4G technology, and we get to look at a brand new technology like 5G from the perspective of an emerging market, and there's a lot of powerful things that we get to do there. So if anything that I said is interesting to you, I encourage you to take a picture of this and check out all of these resources. And before you leave, definitely stop by the Qualcomm booth and check out what they're doing for their 5G robotics. They're doing phenomenal work in this space, and they've built a reference design that is a 5G-enabled reference design. In fact, the Unmanned Life team has a version of it on demonstration over here. But they're doing phenomenal work to enable this area, as is MITRE and GSMA, and I highly encourage you to check out these resources, and thank you for coming.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have a very interesting other session. So I want to welcome, please come to the stage, the next speaker. So we have Jorge Muñoz, Miguel Alvaros, and Lorena Senador Gomez. Thank you. Please, an applause to the new speakers. So I give you the clicker. Please, no, we're going to play a video first. So hold on for a couple of minutes. Watch the video, and then they will kick-start the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jorge Muñoz. I'm the Vice President for Business and Marketing at Unmanned Life. I'm here today to talk to you about the future of robotics. I'm going to start first with some numbers, which are very important. According to GSMA, we're expecting by 2025, we're going to have more than 17 million commercial drones deployed globally. More than 37 robotics, also industrial robotics deployed globally too. This is creating a problem, which is a fragmentation of operating systems working together in the same space. Therefore, we have created our solution, which is Unmanned Life. That is one platform to autonomously deploy, control, and orchestrate robotics at scale. Very important, the orchestration part. Together with our partners here, for example, with Telefonica, that we're here today, we are creating the robotic platforms for telcos. So far, this platform has 3 pillars. The first one is that we're interoperable. We can control any type of hardware, right? So we can talk about drones, but also legged robots, AMRs, any sort of robots. We can also operate in different networks. It could be 5G, 4G, industrial Wi-Fi operations, indoors, outdoors, under the water, hybrid operations also we have today in place. And we offer a deployment, a flexibility on the deployment. It could be on the cloud, on the edge, on premises. The second pillar is that we are modular platforms, and thanks to this modularity, we're able to serve different use cases with the same platform. Last but not least, we open. It doesn't mean that we open source. It means that we open to integrate with other systems. We believe in partnerships. Alone, we cannot win it. So we can integrate with systems such as information systems, IT systems, very important. Barbara was mentioning UTM systems. We need to be integrated with all these sort of systems. Sensors, any sort of sensor solution. It could be a camera, a lidar, a radar, IoT endpoints. Third-party software. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? We need to integrate with analytic platforms to give more intelligence to these robots, and they can operate fully autonomous. So far, this is how our architecture works. I already mentioned that we can integrate with any sort of robots through the connectivity, which is very important. We connect the robots to this central platform, which is Unmanned Life, that has 4 capabilities. And these 4 capabilities allow us to deploy at scale different solutions. First of all, this platform is taking care of the data. We do data management. We collect data and we send data. Second, we do the device and fleet management. We fully control the robots, and we make them work with other robots. It could be different kinds. Here, of course, we're talking about drones, but we have some operations where we mix in drones and ground vehicles to work together as a workforce. Third, we do the mission management. We tell the robot what to do. And based on the data that we're collecting, on the control that we have of the robot, and on the mission, we give intelligence to the robot, and it's when this layer comes here, there is the decision management. And here is where we also integrate the software with other analytic platforms to augment the intelligence. So far, you can imagine that the market is huge. We can serve in different areas. We today have a strong focus on surveillance, on inspections, and emergency response. So far, what I've had told you looks nice in paper, right? But this is the reality. This is what we've done last year, starting with Telus and also with Telefonica here on the surveillance side of things. We also have done a search and rescue in the city of Vienna with Magenta Telecom. We're part of some R&D projects at the European level, like GOV2, that is very well known on urban air mobility. Well, with SEAT and Telefonica, we're also doing smart factories where we are combining drones and ground vehicles. This is a very interesting use case that we have deployed in the city of Vienna last year, where 3 drones were working together to do search and rescue for a specific problem that the city of Vienna has. So 2 drones were doing the search, scanning the river, and a 3rd drone was coming and dropping the payload that in this case was a life jacket. All of this fully autonomous, no pilots involved. Over 5G, of course, as Francesca was telling, connectivity is key. We need this low latency to deploy this at scale. And also, we're here with our partners, Telefonica, to present you this product. This is live in Madrid already. These are the headquarters of Telefonica in Madrid. Very complex scenario. First of all, surrounded by an urban area, very close to the international airport of Madrid, the biggest one in Spain, and next to the highway. We have managed together, and Miguel will explain a little bit more on how we managed to get the license to fly autonomously in such a complex environment. With that being said, thank you very much. I will give the room to Telefonica.
It's me, yeah. Hello. So, well, today I'm going to talk about what we have done in Telefonica in order to become one of the strategic players in the drone ecosystem. As Telefonica, we have been working for several years in order to strengthen innovation to tackle security risks in today's society. Unmanned Life, our partner in this business venture, is completely aligned with Telefonica's strategy, that is innovation, communication, and integration. We have created together TAS. TAS comes from Telefonica Unmanned Security Services. It consists of a scalable and flexible platform that allows us to fly drones remotely and to be able to carry out predefined flights or flights on demand beyond line of sight and beyond line of radio range. Telefonica Unmanned Security Services is the union between aeronautical technological innovation, autonomous fleet management, 5G edge communications, and global remote operations. In the next slide, we will see what Telefonica Unmanned Security Services ecosystem consists of. On the one hand, we have the anti-drone solutions, solutions that this technology can allow us to detect, to identify, to monitor, and to neutralize drones. Drones that are not allowed to enter in a certain area. And on the other hand, we have the platform, the systems brain, that allow us to fly drones remotely. From a command and control center, fixed or mobile, we will be able, who must be operated by vigilance, who must be duly certified as pilots, we will be able to fly drones remotely. The future is to offer those solutions as a service. platform as a service, pilot as a service, drone as a service, communication as a service, and also consultancy as a service. In that case, in order to help our clients to identify what they need to do in order to comply with AESA and ENAIRE regulations. So it's been a long journey. Last year, we were here announcing that the use of drones for different environments would be a reality. Telefonica last year decided to get registered as an UAS operator, one of the first mobile operators certified to be able to fly drones, supported also by our 5G network. We also were authorized to be able to fly drones in our headquarters in Madrid to do perimeter surveillance. And that has allowed us also to offer our clients the benefit and the capacity to use this technology to fly drones and to be able to show you today that this is a reality. Thank you very much, and I give the hand to Miguel.
Thank you, Lorena. Hi to all, and thanks for coming. As Jorge has told, the platform of Unmanned Life is hardware agnostic, and that means that we can use different kinds of drones for different kinds of operation. We differentiate two kinds of operation, indoor and outdoor. And the main difference is that indoor is not under any aeronautical regulation. We use smaller drones, for example, to do inventory or inspection in confined spaces. On the other hand, we have the outdoor operation that we differentiate four kinds of drones. The first one is the drone that you have seen in the video. It's a fully electrical multicopter drone with an autonomy around 45 minutes, and we use this kind of drones for this patrolling or security surveillance. Secondly, we have hybrid drones. It's similar like one hybrid car. The motor of the drones for the propellers are fully electrical, but we have one combustion engine that recharges the battery and allow us a higher autonomy of around 3 hours. And we can do inspection in remote site with this kind of drones. Thirdly, we have the fixed-wing VTOL drones that these vertical takeoff landing drones allow us a longer endurance, about 3 or 12 hours of autonomy, depending on fully electrical or hybrid drones. And we use these drones for border surveillance or search and rescue missions. And then the tethered drones are fully electrical drones that are connected with a wire of about 50 to 100 meters to a ground-based station that supply power to the drone. And we have one zenithal view of the surrounding, and we can control, for example, traffic or crowds. And last but not least, I want to speak about regulations. We know that this is an important matter, and we are working so hard due to we know that technology is going faster than regulation, and we need to know exactly what we can do and we cannot do today. Until 2021, each country in the European Union had their own regulations. And from 2023, we will have, with the entry into force of the US space, the Unmanned Traffic Management System, the operation will be easier and safer. But now we are in a transition period that we need to know what exactly we can do. In this period, the new legal framework have defined 3 different categories, defined only for the risk of the operation. Firstly, the open category is with the lowest risk, for example, recreational flights. On the other hand, we have the certified category that have the highest risk, and for example, it is for aerotaxis. And this is assimilate to the managed traditional aviation. And in the middle, we have The specific category that we are working that allow us to do complex operation like the headquarter protection that you have seen in the video, and it is with a moderate risk one category that allow us to do a lot of things. This is the future, but the future is now and is here, and we are ready to do that. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Will do. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we have we're going to the panel session. So I'm going to start to introduce the list to come to the stage. Svetlana Grant from Vodafone, please, Svetlana. So, and then the other speakers, Elena Neira, Thomas Neubauer, Nora Metzner, and Marc Beltran. Thank you very much. And we are all mic and ready to go. So please, over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce the esteemed panel, and I think we have quite a spread of different types of knowledge, skill, and the representation in the drone and aviation value chain here. So what I'm going to do, we don't have a very long time for this panel, so I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what your company does and what you are doing yourselves. And let me start with myself. So Svetlana Grant, I head partnerships and ecosystem in Vodafone Business, new platform development. Drones is one of the areas that Vodafone is very actively involved in, and we are working on a number of enablers starting from the network and going all the way to the drone identity and a number of other capabilities such as precise positioning, location, and so on. That's myself. Elena, over to you.
Hi, this is Elena Neira, and I am the head of 5G standards with the MITRE Corporation. We are a non-profit that works with government, with academia, and with industry. And we are very focused on 5G, accelerating it and innovating it as a platform to serve many transformational use cases. One of them is aviation. We have a sharp focus on this use case in this vertical because we really think it's a groundbreaking transformational force behind all the different features that 5G has. For that, we created the Open Generation Consortium to accelerate 5G. And the first use case we are doing is exactly the drone use case. We have collaboration with incredible partners like Verizon, Ericsson, Nokia, Qualcomm. It's a very exciting project. And we have now 3 test beds. We are really hardening all the different aspects of the technology so it can be deployable. That's what we're doing in aviation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas, please.
All right. Yeah. My name is Thomas Neubauer. I'm the VP of Innovation at a company called Tioco. We're a software company headquartered in the US, operating with telecom operators, about 300 of them all over the world. We're providing software solutions classically for performance management, fault management, configuration management. And in the aviation side, we are providing information, exchanging or providing interfaces so that the telecom industry can actually exchange information automatically with the aviation systems for things like flight planning, flight authorization, flight clearing, risk assessment. That is what we are doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Marc?
Good morning, everyone. Hello. Good morning. My name is Marc Beltran. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the EU Drone Port. We are a European drone hub that supports both manufacturers and service providers in 3 different ways. One is testing and certification. The second one is training pilots. And the third one is by granting flight authorizations.
Thank you. Thank you, Marc. Nora, and finally, last but not least.
Thank you, Svetlana. My name is Nora Metzner. I'm a senior product manager at Dronic. Dronic is a joint venture of the Deutsche Telekom and the German ANSP, the German Air Navigation Service Provider, DFS. And the aim of Dronic is to integrate drones safely and fairly into airspace. And we do that by offering hardware and software. So we offer an LTE transponder to track the drone beyond visual line of sight. And we offer a web application, a UTM, to conduct drone flight safely because the drone pilot has a situational awareness showing all manned and unmanned aircraft.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nora. So I think we had a couple of excellent presentations just to show the diversity and the extent of activity that's already taking place. But let's talk a little bit about the destination. Where are we heading with the aviation industry, with the drones in particular? And perhaps, Nora, I will start with you. Tell us a little bit from the drone operator perspective. What is the vision? Where are we heading in the next 3 years?
Thank you, Svetlana. Yes, so my personal vision is that within the next years, drones will belong to the aviation ecosystem as naturally as manned aircraft do already today. And I personally see 3 focus areas for drones. One is that drones will help us do operations more easily than, for example, helicopters today. So drones will replace helicopters, be more sustainable, do, for example, pipeline inspections or search and rescue missions. I see that drones help us conduct missions we cannot do today. For example, in the context of AI and the agricultural sector, with the drone we can forecast harvest volumes. And I also see that drones will come closer to us because they are going to operate in airspaces with a lot of drone traffic. The EASA calls them use spaces. So they will operate in cities, and we will see a drone and we will say, oh, cool, there is a drone transporting blood samples from one hospital to the other. And our attitude will become more positive in the future about drones, and we will not say, oh, there's a drone taking a picture, but we will say, wow, there's a drone doing a really useful job. That's my personal vision.
No,
Thank you.
That's great. Anything to add, Mark?
Sure.
Any thoughts?
I fully agree. I think during all these years, we've been used to, I mean, we did all the flights with radio communication, so we were limited to fly the drones in visual line of sight, right? So that was really limiting. And now with mobile technology, from here, we could be commanding a drone flying in Ukraine, for example, with no need of sending a pilot to that area. So I really think this is a game changer and really unleashes the whole potential of the drone industry.
Yeah, that's great. And Nora, of course, we can not talk about the vision without talking 5G. We've heard the story that 4G delivers a lot of things, but really there are some unique capabilities that are coming up. What is there that we should expect?
So from the features and the standards point of view, you have 5G and you have enhanced mobile broadband, ultra reliable communications. You have massive machine type of communication. So all this is there to serve these new markets. And on top of that, you have all the features that the network has now for slicing, for private networks, you name it. So that part that I call the mobility part, together with the connectivity part, will totally energize the capabilities that the drone and the aviation in general is going to have once integrated with the cellular industry. That's what I think that sweet spot is, because they have grown separate, or they have their own regulations, they have their own specifications, and I am painfully aware of that. Sometimes, it's long list that you have to go through. It's like, how do we make a drone take off safely? What happens is the synergies with all these technologies are going to come. For example, we're putting putting together new proposals to evolve the initial LTE aerial profile that the GSMA ACGA task force did into something that will be a 5G and will enable indoor and outdoor connectivity. So the possibilities are really endless, I see.
That's great, and it's of course very useful to think about the connectivity as the must-have, and this is what the cellular networks are on. But actually, it would be really interesting to understand going beyond connectivity and from the end-to-end perspective. And Thomas, I hope you can add a little bit of your vision. What are the capabilities that we need to put in place to make the vision happen?
Right. Well, I think Francesca before in Telefonica also did a fantastic job on what Verizon and Telefonica and many others are actually already looking into. It's not about selling SIM cards when it comes to drones. It's not about just selling connectivity. It's about the end-to-end solution, providing an end-to-end platform. A platform as a service was mentioned before. And I think just to illustrate with some use cases, a municipality is not interested about flying drones. They're interested about getting live feeds from an accident scene to a mission control to deploy the right resources to save lives. It's not about, energy grid companies are interested in flying drones. They're interested in getting automated reports about the maintenance of their power grids. And I think the point really is what, as it has also been shown multiple times today, is 5G and 4G is serving as a platform. It enables other capabilities. It provides the must-have requirements, as you said, mission-critical connectivity, services about how to do automated risk assessment, how to, for example, digitize the airspace. So it's because also, providing redundant capabilities like positioning of the drone without having a GPS assistance is immensely important to scale these ecosystems. But on top of that, telecom providers are cloud service providers, are massive edge computing, because if you're flying drones with sensors, because that's all they do, it's a sensor, it's an IoT device moving in 3D. And that data needs to be processed sometimes in a very short time at the edge so that you can actually generate the results out of it. So, and I think that is why the telecom industry is uniquely positioned, but the change in mindset that is already happening, I think will further continue to move away from thinking connectivity, which is, the key to the door, but the opportunity really, the commercial one, which is the subject of this, is entering the door, going after the end-to-end solution and partnering with other players in the ecosystem.
Thank you, Thomas. And kind of going through that end-to-end list of capabilities, right? So we need to know what the drone is. So that's the identity, which is very, very close to sort of to my heart, is the area that I'm working on. But also what it does, where exactly it is, and it needs to be a dynamic communication at all times, so that if the situation changes on the ground or in the air, so that the drones basically are able to also react. And from your perspective, Nora, anything else that you would like to kind of see with regards to the enablers in this space?
Yes, thank you, Francesca. Yeah, let me add one thing. I think here we're bringing together the mobile telecommunication and the aviation, and aviation always has safety as the ultimate goal. So we really need to make sure that this LTE connection or this connectivity is there during the whole flight. And so I think we really, in the beginning, we need, I think Francesca said that if a drone is flying in the air, it's a totally different way of using the connectivity. So we really, in the beginning, we need to make sure that we have a safe system and that we have a safety net. So for example, we as Dronic, we have this LTE transponder, which is at the same time sending a flight alarm signal. So if we lose the drone and there's no LTE, and in Germany there are unfortunately areas where there is no LTE at the moment, so that we have the safety net and we always know where the drone is. We had the drone flying and then there is no connection, but we still see the drone with the flight alarm signal. I think that's very important also to have trust from the public that we're doing safe operations.
Right. Mark, anything to add?
Sure. I agree with you, Nora. I remember 12 years ago, when I started with the drone business, this was like the Far West. I mean, there were no regulations at all. I personally flew in so many different countries in Europe with no authorizations, no permits, no certifications, nothing, right? And now we have transitioned from that situation into the situation we have right now, that we have into place harmonized European regulation throughout all the EU member states, and that now conducting a flight is not that easy. It's not that simple, right? Now, imagine we have a drone here. We want to fly just outside here, just 1 meter above the ground. We need to be a certified pilot. We need to be a registered operator. We need to be a radiophonist. We need to have operation manuals, maintenance manuals, flight authorization, contact the air traffic control, etc. And now, on top of that, on January 1st next year, all drones models, no matter where they are manufactured, if they want to enter European skies, they will need to pass through a certification process. So in this sense, I think the drone industry is a pretty safe one. And the proof is in the city of Barcelona, there are more than 100 flights every single week. And we don't hear about many drone accidents reports.
How do you balance the whole requirements for safety, security, and we saw the different types, right, and the different risks associated. How do you deal with different types of drones to make sure that it's still commercially viable? It would be interesting to get your thoughts as to how we can work together to make this happen.
Well, I think balancing and making it work together really starts with how can you scale the ecosystem, right? So, and you need to consider from the drone itself to the authorities and most of all to digital processes. Because at the moment, there's a lot of paperwork involved in getting authorization, getting flight permits, and so on, if it's not on a waiver basis or on an exceptional basis. But in order to scale, in order to have all this beyond visual line of sight operational use cases, you need to have automated flight dispatching systems that require connectivity, that require the aviation side. And the beauty of it is we have two massive trillion-euro industries, the aviation industry and the telecom industry, and historically they had nothing to do with each other. Please turn off your phone is the only one that I remember, but that's not really cooperative. So in order to make this digitalization of the processes happen, we need to find ways to exchange data, and the GSMA has done a great job providing this aerial connectivity joint activity, which provides essentially a formal platform and standardized interfaces that allow the exchange of the data between telecom companies and aviation systems to automatically speak with each other. And I think that is sort of the ground base that everything else is actually building on top of it. And I'm looking forward to see that happening.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Anything to add, Nora, please?
Thomas, I fully agree. So I think digitalized processes are the key because, I mean, we're a joint venture of telco and an air navigation service provider, and those are different worlds, you know. For the air navigation service provider, there is a person talking to the pilot of a manned aircraft. We cannot do this if we have one control station with the control over a lot of drones. Can you imagine there's a person talking to this one? We cannot do it like this. So we really have to make sure that we have efficient processes, that there is one process chain. It's not I call person A, then I submit papers to person B, and I get an answer from person C, and then I can contact person D to get the authorization or to have contact during the flight. So we really need one process chain, and it all needs to be digital because otherwise we cannot manage to integrate so many drones safely into the airspace.
And, by the way, that's where I see the meeting of the minds with the aviation industry and the mobile industry because, you know, all those processes, if you look at how mobile phones are administered today, there are device management tools, and you know the industry is capable of administering. You know what are the latest billions of connections? 7 billion of connections. So there is a scalability already there built into the system. So we have these UTMs and we have the tools that the aviation industry use, and integrating them and enabling the scalability, also the security and the processes that we have in the mobile industry will actually help expedite the go-to-market and the getting to market, which is, not easy because of the regulations, because of the safety, and because of the many operational issues and factors involved. But the scalability aspect, I think that's one of the values that definitely comes from the mobile industry.
Thank you, Elena. And I guess to kind of wrap it up, sort of one kind of aspiration that you would like to see happening over the next year to get us on this path to the 3-year vision, sort of one of the things you would really like to see happen. If I can ask you to give a kind of quick top of your mind, what is it that you would wish to see? Who would like to?
Well, I think the proof is in the making. So we need to get it out in the field, tested, validated, and not just the communication and safety critical aspect, but the end-to-end value chain, the end-to-end engagement. And we had 2 great examples today from Verizon and from Telefonica already doing that. We see that more and more happening, and that's what I encourage every telecom operator to engage with.
Let's learn by doing. I like that. Yep.
Yeah. Following to learn by doing. Yeah. What I would love to do is the 3 test beds that we have in the US. And, like I said, there is industry involved, there are operators involved, there are academia involved, that those 3 use cases, one of them being a long-range corridor of drones, that could be applicable to an urban environment or could be applicable to a remote place. So these are now proof of concepts coming to reality and delivering the first useful and real-life examples of what they are doing now over 5G. We have another one with indoors and so on and so forth. So having these really hard to solve use cases and hard to solve problems that we have in these 3 drones, and I invite everyone to go and see the Open Generation consortium site where we have description of this, having them come to life and becoming commercial will be ideal. Okay. Because that will mean that, we have the basis to grow even bigger into what we are doing with this transformational use case.
Thank you, Elena. Mark?
Yeah, it's pretty similar as my colleagues. I really think, I hope the drone market reaches the level it can actually reach, the size it can reach, by maintaining the same levels of safety, which are amazing, compared to commercial aviation.
I like, good aspiration, excellent. And Nora, final words.
So yes, I fully agree. Let me say it just in this sentence. I want to see us sit all on one table, because I think that's the key. And we really need to bring together the safety and the regulatory aspect, but on the other hand, the economic aspect, the digitalization, so that we have easy processes and that we have a competition, we have a market attractive for other players to join to make this really successful.
Fantastic. And that's the perfect message to finish the panel. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. I hope it was interesting. And if I want one message to take out of this one, don't wait, join. Talk to us, let's work together. We need to move now. Now is the time, don't wait. And if you want to see the demo, come to talk to us. We are right there behind us. Come to see the demo from Unmanned Life to Telefonica live and ask any question. And also the other will be around. So thank you very much again for the time and sticking with us. See you soon.